All right. Now, in this video, we're going to configure DHCP server so that the devices or the clients can join the domain through the DHCP server. In other words, they're going to get their IP addresses from DHCP server automatically. So we don't have to go and set the static IP address anymore. All right, how do we do that? Firstly, we have to add the role, DHCP server role. We'll click on add the roles and features. We have done this before, so we're going to go next. We only have one server in there in the pool, so go next. And then we'll select the DHCP server and then add roles. Next. We want to restart this. Yes, you can restart it so that the changes can be implemented. But I want to configure the scope before I restart. So I'll install so that after the scope, then I'll restart, then the changes can be implemented all together at once. We're waiting for the installation to finish. As you can see here, we already on the flag here, we already have notifications, right? You will see after the installation is complete, this will have a yellow notification here. And that's where we're going to configure our DHCP server. All right, the installation is successful. Then we can either complete DHCP server configuration here, or like I said, we can click on that notification there. You can click here. Just go next. Username, make sure that you are in the domain, the correct domain and the correct server, and then we commit our DHCP server. Right? Then we get close. Right? Now we go and configure our scope. Click on Tools, and we click on DHCP server. Now you'll have this. Now we have DHCP server, which has been committed to our domain. Go and expand that. I'll just make this window a little bit bigger, and then you'll see that we have our IPv4 and IPv6. Okay, we're going to expand IPv4. You'll see that we have several options. We have policies, we have filters. We're not going to, I wonder why do we have this error here, but then it's fine. Let's create our scope. Right click and new scope. Next, you give your scope a name. Let's name it. The name must make sense. And then in here, basically, it's documentation, which is very key. In the sense that if the scope is for managers, then you can tell the person that is going to be working on this should you leave the company? What is the scope for? Next, and then we will add our scope. 168.50. You'll remember that our server, the first IP address that we have, the static address, it's 192.168.50.2. Basically, you can set your scope from 3 upwards, but then it is not advisable. So let's say 100. We want 192.168.50. We can end at 254. Basically, here it is your choice. How many IP addresses, how many devices do you want to connect to your server automatically? So we'll say we'll give, if you want 100, therefore we'll make 200 here. So we'll just make it 154. Next. Do you want to exclude any IP addresses now? Here, most people make a mistake of using exclusion and reservation interchangeably, but basically they don't. There's a difference. Exclusion, you're saying we don't want to use this IP address. Reservation, you reserve them for devices. You don't want to give them out, but you reserve them for devices that you want. Say, for example, you need managers not to change the IP addresses. Then for reservation, you will add those IP addresses in there. For exclusion, you're not going to use those IP addresses. We will talk about the reservation later. Let's go next. Here, we're going to allow the employees or the users to connect for a certain time, certain period. For example, most people work for 8 hours a day. You can say a device can only connect for 8 hours. Go next. Right. Yes, I want to configure this option. Do you want to configure the DHCP server options for the scope? Yes. Right. Now, to add an IP address for the router, the gateway, what was, you must remember, the address for the gateway was 192.168.50. Yeah, I think that was one. You add and then you go next. Now here, what you're going to configure is the DNS. Therefore, the name of the server to configure scope client to use DNS servers on your network. Enter the IP address for those servers. The IP address will be 192.168.50.2. You can, then it's working on it. And let's add 192.168.50.1. Okay, that one is not allowed, so we will leave it. Let's go next. Next. Yes, I want to activate the scope. Let's activate the scope and finish. Right. We are done activating our scope. Let's go and see our scope. Now, in the address pool here, you see there is our scope. Okay. Now the reservations, if you need to set the reservation, you set them here. Okay, and then you can add the new reservation. All right. With reservations, you will have to map your computers, your IP addresses to the MAC addresses. Okay, we're not going to do that now. We're not going to do that now. What you're going to do is we are done basically. So that is how you create a new scope on the DHCP server. All right. Remember to hit the like button if you like this video, and the next video I will show you. In the next video, I'll show you how to join the client to our domain. All right. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.